Welcome to the Becoming Eva podcast, where we discuss real-life issues from a woman's perspective.
Becoming Eva seeks to break the silence within the female community while fostering authenticity, transparency, and healing.
We're your hosts, Latoya Moore
and Maya Dawson.
Let's get started.
Good morning.
Hello, beautiful people.
Happy Saturday.
Yes. Ooh, y'all, I just feel it. I feel it in my bones. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Okay, y'all. So you notice we have a very special guest with us this morning. Now, I just have to say, we've enjoyed the month of October. We did a 31-day devotional entitled Becoming by Mrs. Chrystal Bernard. And you may notice that the person on the book kind of looks like the person on the screen here. So we're so excited to have you with us this morning, Chrystal. How are you?
Hi, good morning, everybody. So excited to be here. It's nothing like women just coming together and talking about womanhood, motherhood, marriage, the whole shebang. As women, we wear so many hats, and sometimes it's nice to just come together and let's talk about those. How can we do them better? And really just see, come together as a community.
I love it. Yes. And that's what the BE community, as we affectionately call it, is all about. Women supporting women. And of course, we have our brothers and definitely our spouses or significant others coming alongside to support us as well. But we really try to just create a community where we can support one another as women. So we're excited to have you this morning.
Yes. Awesome.
Woo, how you doing, Toya?
I'm good. This week, it's been a little stressful, but thankfully it's the weekend. I can rest up and, enjoy my family. But I'm good.
Yay. All right, y'all. Well, before we get into becoming with the Chrystal Bernard, we got to talk what's trending. Okay. So just a little bit of tea as I have my sipping tea with BE cup. We got to, get it popping this morning. So if y'all haven't noticed, first up, I think last week, probably the last couple of weeks, it's been all about Ye and Kanye, if you will, West, and all of the endorsements that he has lost and just him being under fire. This week, it seems like somebody else is under fire. Another billionaire, might I add, and that would be Elon Musk, owner of Tesla. So if you don't know, he now owns Twitter. I think back in April, he was trying to get out of the deal. And then legally, he had already signed something that kind of forced him to go through with the deal. And so he officially became owner of Twitter, and now is what we like to call cleaning house. So taking ownership of Twitter, he has dissolved the board. He has fired all of the C-level executives. And now there are rumors of several layoffs, and actually there are several employees that are planning to sue him for not giving notice. Typically when you do a layoff, you have to give about 60 days notice. And so he literally, sent out an email and was like, hey, if you're getting this email on your personal email, then deuces. If you're getting this on your professional email, you good to go, and locked everybody out. So nobody had access to to their work computers and email. It was crazy. I couldn't imagine. So I don't know if these people knew that, the merger was coming to, or not the merger, the acquisition was coming to a close and that he was, about to take over. But just based on what I know about him, I probably would have had my resume out there. So I don't know. What do y'all think? How you feel about this whole situation with Elon Musk and Twitter?
I think his employees probably knew just from his behavior previously that if he did acquire ownership, something drastic was going to happen. So I think if they did know something like this, they knew something was going to happen just due to his nature. Yeah. I think we can all tell, he just has that personality where it's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
So we just hope that you're on the right side of the highway you would like to be on. But I think we all kind of knew, okay, if he acquires this company, something big is going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's just really unfortunate that he is messing with so many people's livelihoods. Around this time of the year, too, it just seems like it's no mercy. It's just like, you're gone. Bye bye. Hope you have a plan. Hope you have some savings.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
This time of year is I hate hearing of people getting laid off this time of year, especially when they have families and little ones, because I mean, you're trying to make it happen around the holidays. You're trying to really create some memories and experiences with your family, and you need funds in order to do that. So, yeah. So definitely prayers up for anybody that's been impacted by this whole transition, because it is a whole transition. Like, he's doing the most right now. So any other comments or feedback before we dive into trending topic number 2?
No. Go ahead.
All right. So topic number 2. Now, I thought about my girl Toya, because I don't know if you remember Toya, but gosh, everything seems like yesterday, but clearly we had a 3-year blip with this pandemic. So this was several years ago. I believe Alfie did a Christmas game for us at the Track Stars Christmas party, and it was cool. Everybody had to figure out or write down or guess the other person's favorite Christmas song. And guess what Toya's favorite Christmas song is? All I Want for Christmas by
Mariah Carey.
So I thought about you, because literally on Halloween, or was it at midnight, I think, of Halloween, she put out this video where she had on this fly black cat suit, almost like she was a witch or something. And then she changes all of a sudden into Christmas, and she's like, it's officially all I want for Christmas season. And so it went viral. Everybody was like, okay, Mariah, we get it, But I have to give her kudos, because a lot of people don't realize that song is literally the number 1 Christmas song, period. I mean, even though it's been out for almost 20 years or 30 years, it came out in 1994. And it's still one of the most played Christmas songs during the Christmas season. It went diamond back in 2017, and since then has earned or grossed over 60 million in royalties. So can you imagine, just from that one song, old girl got 60 million, just from that one song. So I'd be like, it's all I want for Christmas season too. Put that thing on repeat.
Well, and I think, that was very strategic. She was very strategic when she released it, and she's just continuing to see the fruit of it, and that's something that we'll talk about later, is everything that we do, especially as a woman, we're going to see legacy, or we want to see legacy.
Yeah.
And so Mariah, she hit the lottery with it, because the next generation and now the next generation is hearing it. And so it's almost like it's embedded in our culture now.
Yeah.
And she's getting the royalties from it. So kudos, Mariah. Good job. You nailed it. You hit it on the head.
Yes, Queen MC.
Yes. I thought that video was creative. With her in the all black like a witch. I was like, oh, wow.
It's like, boom, it's now all I want for Christmas season. Get ready. The Queen MC. So, all right, y'all. On to our third and final topic for what's trending. Do we have any fans of the best man in the building? I'm just going to raise my hand and say I'm a fan. Not gonna lie. Raise my hand. Oh, yes. And quite honestly, in my opinion, it's rare that you find, to me, sequels that are better than the first one. But I honestly thought the sequel was better than the first one. It gave me super highs, and then I was tearing up, and then I was laughing, and then, and of course the eye candy. I'm sorry, hubby. I'm sorry. The eye candy is real. It's there. I'm just saying. So, but all that to say, there have been rumors about there being a third installment of The Best Man. And of course, if you watch the second one, the way they ended, you're kind of like, oh, snap, we about to have another wedding, right? And so there have been rumors about that for a while. I don't know if that's still happening or not, but Peacock, also, which is NBC's streaming company, is going to be doing a limited series of The Best Man in December. And so I'm excited to see what comes of that, especially how life looks, some years later, And so, yeah, we'll see what happens. But how y'all feeling? Are you going to watch it? You're not going to watch it? You excited? You could care less? What? It's okay. Fair game.
I'm definitely going to watch it. with my husband. We've watched all of the Best Man movies, and it's around our holiday or our anniversary. It's actually on our anniversary when it comes out, and
Yes.
so people have something to watch during Christmas break.
I love it. So your hubby is actually gonna watch it with you, Toya.
I'm gonna make him.
I'm done. Can we not make the man?
I don't know if he's listening right now and watching, but just know I'm gonna make you watch it.
Oh my God! Prayers for Toya's husband right now. I'm sorry, bro. Yes, and happy early anniversary. Because yes, that's a beautiful time to celebrate. Yes.
But you said, don't say I candy. Say
yes.
Oh.
Yes. And we know who you talking about. We do, Atrinka. We do. We're not gonna name drop here though. We're not. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. We embarrassing our guests. I'm sorry, Chrystal. Do you have any feedback here on the Best Man? We're not trying to get you in trouble.
I'm gonna have to check it out. My husband and I, we have lately, one of our kind of downtime spending time together is finding a good Netflix series. So we finished The Lincoln Lawyer, and we were like, oh, we can't wait for the next series of that one. So we'll have to check it out.
All right. Cool. So yes, ladies, that concludes our What's Trending for today. So it's time, y'all. It's time. We about to get into it with our amazing guest today. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Toya. Take it away.
Yes. So Chrystal, we are so excited to have you on our show this morning. And for anyone that doesn't know who you are, could you tell the Becoming Eva fans, like, where are you from? And like, what was it like growing up with your family? Just a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So my family and I, we live in the Dallas, Texas area. My husband and I, it's us and our 4 kids, which we have a full house. It's fun all the time. So yes, we have our 4 kids. We also are pastors of a church. I'm a CPA by trade, and I have my own accounting practice where I specialize in small business owners, so helping with pretty much everything. The accounting, the bookkeeping, the taxes, the sales tax, pretty much all things accounting related. So that way, when a small business owner comes to me, they just say, here, Chrystal, you do it. And I don't want to see it, and I'll make sure that everything is done. We also, our newest initiative is we started a school at our church. And so we have a school that we run. I'm also a PhD student at Texas Women's University. So as you see, God is gracious, and he gives us the ability to create harmony between the many hats that are worn. And and so those are just the big initiatives that we have going on. And of course, I'm a book author, which you guys just finished, the wonderful Proverbs 31 woman book. And that's my goal. I enjoy just inspiring and pushing women and all people, but particularly women, to being who God called them to be. We are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God designed us to wear these multiple hats. And sometimes we just need to talk about it, and we need just encouragement. And you know what? Yes, I can do this. And that's really what I just love to do, is just encourage people to be equipped so that they have the knowledge that they need to run their race with excellence.
Wow. Oh, gosh, I love that. I just want to say, and I mean, of course, Toya, I know you had a specific calling for when Becoming Eva was launched, but everything that you just shared, I feel like a lot of women just don't talk about. We don't talk about like the plethora of hats that we wear, the things that we are making happen behind the scenes,
Yes.
personally and professionally. I think it's oftentimes just kind of one of those like, oh, we just smile and, try to look pretty and support, and it just gets done magically. But at the same time, there's some real dynamics going on behind the scenes. There are some real challenges. There's some real struggles, and we need to be encouraged in those ways, as women. So I'm just so grateful to have you here, and so grateful for that ministry that you have of really encouraging and supporting women in that, because that's a large part of why Becoming Eva exists. So,
Yes. And you wear so many hats.
Yes. And I think as women, we're like, okay, God, I see you're calling me to this area and this area, but what does that actually look like? It's almost like, how do I bring all of the visions and dreams that you've given me and actually apply them to real life. And then what does that look like when I have a husband and I have kids and I have a job and I have all these things going on? But that's how God really did design us to handle those things and it's not stressful, versus the men tend to be very visionary and goal oriented. And they're kind of like this versus women. We kind of like pick up all the pieces and keep that vision moving.
That's awesome. I love it.
Well,
can you share with us your spiritual journey, like when you came to know Christ and how that relationship has evolved over the years?
Yes. So growing up, my family, we didn't really go to church at all. We would go to church like on Easter, but if there was like a football game or a baseball game or basketball game going, we were at home and we were going to chill and just enjoy each other. So it wasn't until I was in college. And I will say, I thought I was living my best life in college and doing what I wanted to do. And my whole thing was because I've always been gifted academically. So I just thought, well, because I'm getting A's and, I had scholarships and internships and whatnot, then I can kind of do whatever I want to do in my personal life. Well, I think when you hit your head multiple times, you're like, okay, something is just not working. Clearly, I am not living the life that I'm really supposed to. And I remember being just in a dysfunctional relationship. And I remember I just cried out in my room in college and said, all right, God, if you're real, then show me. And at that moment, I kid you not, I heard, you're going to marry a pastor. And I thought, what? Now, again, I'm not saved or anything. I don't know anything about church. I'm like, what? Okay, that's fine. But what are we going to do about this situation? Now, it just so happened the guy I was dating at the time, his dad was a pastor. So, of course, what does the carnal mind do? Oh, I am going to marry this guy. It's going to work out. He's going to take over his dad's church, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, that didn't work out too well. But I started to learn, when I obey God's voice, positive things happen. And when I don't, I suffer the consequences. So I started learning really quickly and I started discerning his voice and hearing it because I didn't really have any religion. I didn't have anything. So it was just fresh. It was just me and God. And I'm really grateful for that because some people, that's the opposite. They were in a very maybe conservative or religious background. And so they kind of have to tear down all those ideologies and things that they thought were right that really wasn't right. I didn't have any of that. So it was just, all right, God, it's me and you. And I just learned really by being led by the Holy Spirit, even though I didn't know I was being led by the Holy Spirit. Wow. And the more I went to church, and again, some of those things was, I'm not going to church. Even in college, we would go out to the club, all my friends. And then on Sunday, they would go to church. And I'd be like, we were just at the club last night. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm not going. And so they would talk about me like, oh, you a sinner. I'm like, no, we were all just at the club. I'm not
all there. We were all there.
And so eventually, I started going to church and started to learn. And I was like, oh, this is the life. Okay, God, you are real. And so my husband and I, we met at a young adult Bible study. Now, funny story is I had someone invite me to this Bible study for a year straight. And it was on a Friday night. And I said, I am not going to church on a Friday. What? I just want to go. I'm going home. I'm going to chill. I'm going to happy hour and it's all good. And the one time he didn't invite me, I texted him and I said, hey, I'm coming to that Bible study you've been inviting me to. And so, of course, we joke about that. And then that was one of the first meetings that my husband and I met each other, and then from then on, we met. We had just a very open conversation. We knew very early that we were going to marry each other. He was not a pastor at the time at all, but we just started learning, and we got married and we just continued to be led by the Holy Spirit. And because of that, we started a church, we started a business, and all those things really came just by being obedient to the Spirit. At the end of the day, it was really all about obedience, but it was putting that carnal nature down and not letting that override what the Spirit was really sharing.
Amen. That's good.
Great testimony. Ladies, are you all out there listening? For those of you all still wanting to find wanting your Boaz to find you. Wow, that's a powerful love story. Love it. Mai, did you have anything?
I was just going to ask how did your relationship evolve? Because literally you're going from faith to faith, like faith to just go to a Bible study on a Friday night in college. I feel you on that because we had youth ministry or college ministry on Friday nights, and me and my friends would be like, can we do something fun? But at the same time, it's what kept us. So the faith to do that, and then like you were saying, meeting your husband and knowing, okay, this is the path that God has for me, and even watching that evolve over the years. How has your faith evolved along with that relationship and all those different milestones that you talked about? Starting a business, starting a family, all of that.
You know what? So I talked about it's really about obedience. Okay, well, how does one actually become obedient? And it's really spending time with the Lord. And you understand that it's not just about me going to church. It's not just about me going to Bible study. Like those are the kind of things that reel you in, right? But then it's really like, okay, this has to be a personal walk. And so that's really what it transcended into. It started as, okay, I'm going to this Bible study. Oh, finally, I meet some friends that love Jesus, because my other friends, they were cool, but it's like, Lord, you're pulling me to something, but my current friends they're not there yet.
Yeah.
And so again, the circles had to change, and I had to stop hanging around with some people. And then I got in with this group of like, oh, wow, everybody's living for Jesus. But then as you continue to grow, you're like, oh, no, I need more, so you really start to lean on the Lord. And he leads you to the right people. But a lot of that came with leaving some friendships or not so much leaving, but even just kind of creating distance. Just because you're on two different tracks, and it's like, okay, either I'm going to please God or I'm going to please people. Well, I gotta please God. So that looks like a lot of people may be talking about you and just saying, what are you doing? Questioning your walk, questioning, well, why would you do that? Why would y'all start a church? You're only, we started the church. We were 26, 27 years old.
Wow.
We were really young starting the church, but we knew what God has told us. And so as we just clung more to God, he brought the people around us that we needed, And so the faith part is, Lord, I'm going to trust you no matter what it looks like, no matter what people say. And learning that, Lord, you told me this and not them. So they're probably not going to get it because God didn't tell them, right? But you told me, so I have to really just be sold out to what you were telling me, continuing prayer. And God really does put everything, in order.
Yeah.
And I think as women, sometimes we can get so in the day-to-day of life, right? You're making lunches, you're doing carpool, you're going to work, you're coming back, you're doing home stuff. It's like the list just goes on, like it never stops.
Yeah.
The one thing we have to do in order to see, God, what is this dream that you have for me to get your will completed on the earth? And that's where you really just have to take time, just the two of you guys. Every single day, and have that time where it's just you and the Lord. And honestly, you don't even need to say anything. You just need to sit and listen.
Preach.
Sometimes we go into prayer and we just talk. And he's like, yeah, but I want to talk too. Let me share with you what I have to say. And that's where, the Proverbs woman, she's known for her wisdom. Well, she got her wisdom because she got it from God. Well, she didn't get the wisdom while she was doing dishes and doing carpool and all this. She did it when she just had that moment of just serenity so that she could actually hear.
Preach.
Wow. And as women, and I get it, right? We're so busy. We can just go from here to here to here to here. And even when we go to sleep, like we're really not resting because we're really thinking about the to-do list for the next day, right? So you really have to calm all of that to just take time to just say, hey, Lord, what's on your heart?
Yeah.
He already knows what's on our hearts, but Lord, what do you want? What wisdom do you have for my family, for whatever that I'm doing in life? And that is what gives us the peace and the calmness and the serenity that I think all women, we all need it, but sometimes we're seeking for it, but we're looking for it in different places, so it's fulfilling for a minute.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, here I go again. My mind is racing. Well, because you really haven't taken time to just sit and just to rest in him.
Chrystal, I gotta ask, especially you got four, Toya got four, so I gotta speak for the women like you that are saying, where in the world you gonna find this time? How in the world? Like literally, they may be thinking that. How in the world do I find time to stop and listen? So, can you give just some practical tips or wisdom on how you may have had to find those pockets of time? When you had, and you do have an itty bitty one now too, right? How old's your
She's
youngest?
two. She's
Oh my
two.
gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're still in toddler season. Like, how do you find those pockets of time to just listen?
Like anything else, if you do not make time for it, it's not going to happen. Just like working out. If you don't make time to work out, you ain't going to the gym. You ain't getting on anybody's treadmill. It's just not happening. You literally have to put it in your calendar or whatever you use so that you make time. So maybe that means you wake up, 30 minutes early, or maybe nighttime is your time. That means you put the kids to bed, or maybe you ask your husband or whoever that is to help you so that you have that time. But if you do not carve it out, it's not going to happen.
That's
So
good.
you have to be really intentional about, okay, I really need my prayer time, my self-care, quiet time, space in some form or fashion. Because otherwise, what happens is you get going and you're like, oh, I'll do it later. Oh, I'll do it at this time. Once the day starts, women, we all know something will always try to overpower what you really need to do. That's just life. And I think that is a strategy of the enemy with women is, if I can just keep her busy. If I just keep her busy, I don't have to kill her. I'll just keep her busy.
Gosh.
And that's a easy trick that he does, because we'll just get busy. What do you ask someone? Oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm just busy. Oh, I'm just busy. That's all you got to say, is that you're busy. Well, you say that because you really are, but you haven't really taken time aside just for you and God.
That's so good. Oh, that's so good, Chrystal.
So you got to carve it out.
So many gems that she is dropping this morning, from making sure that the people that you are surrounded with are of like-mindedness, like you. And I remember back in college, God was kind of separating me from certain friends. And, in my walk, I started craving other friends that were more like-minded. And over time, like, God brought me those friends in different spaces, and it really, really helps you on your journey to be surrounded by people that are like-minded. So I really like when you were talking about that, and then being intentional about carving out time for you and God to have that intimate relationship with. So awesome.
And one thing is what keeps people from, the friends, is longevity. They think, oh, well, I've known this person for X many years. Oh, I've known them from kindergarten. Oh, I've known them. Well, that was great. But if y'all are on two different paths and God is taking you somewhere, some people just cannot go with you. It is what it is. And we just have to accept that and just move on and know that God is going to bring that person another friend too. So you don't have to be there. Well, they're not going to have anybody. Okay, well, how about we just let God be God and we not try to feel that and do what he is calling us to do. And then with the intentionality is, and I get it, as women, we can get tired, but sometimes that means, okay, well, maybe we have to look at the whole picture. And even in the book, I talked about this, is where you get your strength from, physically, mentally, and physically. Maybe you're tired because you just have a really bad diet. So you can't wake up because you just had a Big Mac and fries last night. Well, yeah, your body is not trying to wake up. It's trying to still process everything that you ate. So sometimes we just have to be very realistic and saying, okay, am I fueling my body spiritually, physically, and mentally? Because we are mind, body, and soul and spirit. And so honestly, if I'm feeding myself junk, I'm going to see the fruit of that in my spirit life, indirectly and directly. So we have to look at the whole picture of, okay, I want to give myself and fuel myself the very best. So what can I do spiritually? What can I do mentally? So again, what am I watching?
Yeah.
Am I constantly feeding myself negativity? Am I feeding myself Housewives? If you want a good marriage, you probably shouldn't watch The Housewives.
Are any of them married? I'm still trying to figure that out. Like every time I'm like, does anybody have a husband on here? Okay.
I'm just saying that it's what it is. We have to be really careful about, the portholes, what we hear, what we listen, and really fueling ourselves so that we can be the very best, and then you'll see it's a lot easier to carve out that time for God because we've gotten rid of all this junk anyway. If we really look at our time, we have the time. It's just being filled with things that shouldn't be there. So let me look at my day. Let me look at even my scroll time. Maybe I'm scrolling 30 minutes on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, TikTok. What if I use that time for my time with God?
Chrystal, you done stepped on all kind of toes. I just want you to know. You done stepped on some toes this morning. Talking about what we eat, what we watch, what we listen to. Woo! It's good stuff, though. Very good stuff. Oh, so ladies.
And it's good because we don't hear this. But this is the reality of what is going on.
Absolutely.
If we really were just to be honest and be like, you know what, I really could improve on my physical side, and that alone is going to help me with the mental and the physical. You know what? I watch way too much, TV, or I'm on social media way too much. I get it. I've had those days where I'm like, you know what? I just spent I was supposed to be praying and I'm 30 minutes in and I'm still on Instagram, just scrolling, just looking, and we're not to be condemned. It's not about condemnation, but it's about, okay, how can I do better?
Yes.
And how can I really, because that's self-care, right? How can I give myself what I really need?
Yeah. If we want better for ourselves, we got to step back and take that honest assessment and say, okay, what do I need to change? What are some steps, practical steps that I can take? And we won't get it all overnight. Honestly, we won't get it all until we in eternity with Jesus. But at the same time, like, what can I do today that's different from yesterday that will put me in the right direction? So great stuff. I want to ask before we switch gears, are there any other personal milestones, good or bad, that you want to share that have helped shape you into the amazing woman of God that you are today?
You know what I will say, just in general, as you take those steps of obedience, God will, he's wanting you to go through it because it really has something to do with the next step and the next one and the next one and the next one. And so I remember last fall when the Lord said, okay, I want you to go to school and get your PhD. I was like, who has time for that? Okay. I got a baby. We got a church. We got a business. We got all this stuff. We got a school. But like, how does that fit into the picture? And he told me, he said, it's going to be easier than you think. And I remember now that I'm in the program now, it's one of the easiest things that I've done because of the training of obedience that he's put you, that you've already done, So a lot of times we're thinking, oh Lord, how can I do that? Well, once it's a leap of faith. But once you get there, you're going to be like, oh, well, you've kind of been training me. You've been preparing me for this this whole time, and it goes back to the scripture of, he's going to create a table in the presence of your enemies.
Amen.
He's constantly preparing you. So the act of obedience is really just for the carnal nature to get over the hump because he's already prepares you for it. And that obedience step is just going to take you to the next and the next and the next and the next. And so I would say, being a PhD student now it's really just the culmination of everything that I've already done previously. But if that first step of obedience was never taken, you wouldn't have got here. Even when writing papers, it's a piece of cake because I've written a whole book, I know what it's like to go through the editing process and this and that. And so it's everything that the Lord gives you is for the next season.
I love it.
Even this season of motherhood with toddlers and the little ones where you're like, oh my gosh, how do I do how do you get all this done in a day? It's for the next season because you're going to be so excellent at time management. Can't nobody tell you. Somebody will give you something, you'll be like, okay, done. Because it's all in preparation. He's been preparing you and you just didn't know it.
So good. I love it. I love it. I love it. Where God guides, he provides. And he is preparing you for the next. That is so good. Whew. Y'all have anything else you want to share before we transition into the professional milestones? Whew. Good stuff.
Chrystal, I know you shared with us about your professional journey, and you are a CPA. Did you always want to be an accountant, or what led you to pursue that area?
I'll be very honest. Okay, so remember, college not being led by the Holy Spirit. Okay, I'm just out there living my best life. And I actually got a scholarship by a company called PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Mhm.
And I got a scholarship and an internship. They flew us out to New York. And I had really saw, wow, if I pursue this accounting world, I can be, basically available and open to all of these opportunities. And so I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and go along. I had a great internship, and they basically said, we'll continue to give you the scholarship and internship. So I interned after my freshman year and continued to do so every single year. And so I saw the financial benefits. Now, when I started working, though, I enjoyed it, but I said I always had a heart for the small business owner. And I think it's because, my mom and her brothers, their family, they had a cleaners growing up. And so they had a small business. And so I think it does stem back to that. I've always had a heart for small business, and I understood accounting and finance. And a lot of people don't do that. They're really good in the operations of their business, but when it comes to accounting and tax, they're like, I don't know what to do. I mean, they just have a breakdown basically. And I said, you know what? I'm working for this big company, but I felt this void. Like I'm just making really big companies make even more billions of dollars. Like I felt I really should be helping the small business owner, who is equally as important. And so my husband and my mom at the time, they were both very encouraging. Like, Chrystal, you could do the same thing that you're doing now, but in your own practice. And I want to say I was scared because I had a nice salary, I had benefits, I had all this stuff. I traveled, had a corporate card. I was like, I'm living a nice life. I just bought a house. But I said, but I knew the Lord was pulling me into something else. And so what I did, I started teaching at the college level as I built my business. And I mean, it only took probably about 2 or 3 years where, I had income in the 6 figures and God really blessed it. But it was really just about taking faith steps and not being afraid and really just being who I was called to be. Just helping people and educating them and really having a business relationship with them and not so much about making money. At the end of the day, you can give your money to anybody, but I've found that people like doing business with people that they like, and so I really just strive to just have a good business relationship with people. And then the business just grew and grew. And now I have a team of 6 and the business has continued to grow.
That's so key. I just want to point out what she said, all small business. First of all, I'm like, when I was researching you, looking at your website, I was like, dog, I wish she was in Georgia. I'm like, we both have small businesses that could benefit from that. That's amazing. But the key about people like to do business with people that they like. Like, that's so key. That relationship building component is critical. And I think oftentimes we overlook that, not because we don't like people, or we're not, we don't like building relationships, but because we're trying to get the job done. We're trying to get the business going. And it's like, okay, no, we need to focus on building those relationships with the people that, we're trying to have business with, so that's such a key point. I love that.
Yes. And it really has stood the test of time through the pandemic and through a lot of challenging times for business owners. Is just those key relationships will continue to produce and, come in times where you were like, oh man, I think this is over, So, yes.
Wow. Okay. So you got to tell us, how in the world did this amazing devotional come about? I mean, clearly you got your hands full. You really didn't need to add anything else to your plate, but thank God you did. Thank God you decided to, do this devotional. But how did it come about, the Becoming devotional?
So we actually had, from our church, I invited all of the young ladies to my house just as a, almost like a young women event. And we were talking about the Proverbs woman, and none of them had heard of her. Wow. And I said, none of you guys know who the Proverbs woman is? And they said, no. And so in our, allotted hour and a half, I went through as much as possible. And they were like, wow, like we didn't know this, and again, because We're not making blankets and quilts, although if you want to make blankets and quilts, that is totally fine. 21st century women are not doing that. So having to show them, okay, this is what that really means in the 21st century. It's the same. It just looks a little bit different. And they loved it. And so what we did, I said, you know what, we're going to start a 30-day challenge in really learning who this woman is. And so I started a Facebook group just for the women involved. And I said, you know what, invite some friends, invite whoever you want to attend. Well, that group now has over 1,000 members in it. And so for the month of, this was November of 2019, because right before the pandemic. And I wrote basically what you see here in a smaller version in that group. And I just talked about, okay, this is what that woman is. And we would comment, and we had such a great time. And at the end of those 31 days, the Lord said, turn it into a book. And I said, okay. So I had to go in, kind of elaborate on some pieces, ask some more questions in. But it was really to just educate people on what this woman looks like in the 21st century. Because again, as much as I'd want to make a quilt, I just don't have the time to make a quilt. But that whole verse is not about making a quilt, really. It's just showing how resourceful she is. And I wanted women to see, you are the Proverbs woman. She's already embedded in you. It's just, we kind of got to, you're like a masterpiece. We got to kind of chisel here and get rid of that and, kind of fine tune some areas. But really, women, we've already been predestined to be this person. It's just kind of getting out and being, sometimes it's healing from trauma. Sometimes it involves some other things so that we can really emulate who this woman is.
I love that.
And I really love the questions that you have at the end of each day to reflect. And I love that it corresponds with a chapter in Proverbs as well. So I just really enjoyed this devotional.
Yeah, that is awesome. And again, it just makes you think in a different way. Really having Christ as the center of your life, using his wisdom, and really because a lot of people would say, oh, the Proverbs woman, they would be intimidated by her, right? They're like, oh, she's doing it all. She's doing everything. And it's like, no, she's really the example of how we should be. And just really saying, you can do this, but answer these questions, do some introspecting to see, okay, how am I compared to her? Again, it's not a comparison, but if God wants me to be like this, then he's really coaching me through this. And so this whole book was really just about a coaching manner and how you can be more like this woman who you already are created to be anyway. Yes. But it's just saying, how can I do that? I'm all about application. What does this actually look like? We can talk about it all day long, but what does this look like in real life?
Yes. I think what drew me to even the devotional itself, we did a lot of strategizing and planning when we were preparing to launch this podcast. And basically, we landed on, okay, what is the modern day Proverbs 31 woman look like? What does she look like today? What does that mean today through today's lens and from today's perspective? And that's even how the whole name Becoming Eva came about, because we were thinking about the Proverbs 31 woman as the restored Eve. And so we were thinking, okay, what's an evolution of Eva? So becoming Eva, becoming that modern Proverbs 31 woman. And so when I came across your devotional, I was like, she sounds like us. Like she sounds like there's a kindred here-ness, and, just immediately was drawn to just the practicality of it. As Toya mentioned, like those questions at the end and those points to think on, they're so critical, because we're all about what practical steps can we take to really walk this thing out on a daily basis. I mean, yeah, it looks good, it sounds good, and God wants us to do it, but what does it look like? So I'm so grateful that you took the time to not only, serve the women in your church out of obedience, but even just, taking it a step further and turning it into a book that could minister to so many other women. So I'm grateful for your obedience to God, Chrystal. Thank you so much.
Amen.
Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And one of the there's 2 chapters that I really want to highlight.
Yes.
If that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So day 1, chapter 1, which is becoming a daughter first. And it really goes back to, you got to just take that time to sit first. And knowing that before I'm anything else, before I'm the wife, the mom, the student, the career woman, all the things that we do, I'm God's daughter first.
Amen.
I am the apple of his eye. He loves me. He has a plan for me. And just knowing that is relieving. It's like, I can take my cape off for a minute. I can just sit in his presence and know that he accepts me without me doing anything.
Amen.
And that alone gives me, even I just felt, it just gives me so much peace when I just know all the accomplishments and milestones and all that. Yeah, that's great, but he really just loves me at the end of the day. So taking that time to really know that, and really starting the day with that first, is that's really where I get the strength from, is knowing that I am his daughter and he loves me. So yes, now I can go out and I can be a rock star and I can do this and this and this, because at the end of the day, I'm his daughter. Boom. Mic drop. All right. Second one is day 11, chapter 11, which is about spiritual endurance. It really all starts with the spirit first, and if we can really hone in on being his daughter and being spiritually equipped and strengthened, it's going to make everything else easier. It really will. I think we can all know, we can have those, or you can see those comparisons in a day where maybe you woke up late and now you're just rushing. And it's like, you cannot get ahead of the day. It's like, I've been rushing all day. But the days where you get up, you sit in the Lord's presence, even if it's just for like 10, 15 minutes, it just makes the day so much smoother. It is. It really does work. And so if we did that every single day, we would just see some really great transformation happen in our lives. And again, you might do it once, 1 week, and all the other days are just hectic, but then the next week you do it twice, and the next week you do it 3 times. It's just about getting there. It's not about being perfect, but let's just strive to do it as often as we can.
Yeah.
And if we did those 2 things, everything else will just come into the right perspective. Because sometimes we don't have the right perspective because we're rushed and we're busy and we're tired.
Facts.
So by default, it makes everything else hard, just because we really started off. Not too good. But if we did that and started really with the Lord, easing into the day, no kids, no husband, no nothing, it really just it really just starts us off right.
Yeah. That's so true. I always think about equating the time that we spend with God with tithing, because it's one of those things where a lot of people feel like, well, God, I can't afford to tithe. And it's like, no, you really can't afford not to tithe, because that's where your increase comes from. That's how God is able to multiply the seed that you do have. And I feel that way with time. We often feel like, I don't have time, to spend time with God, or to be still and to be quiet and be in his presence. And it's like, no, we can't afford not to, because when we invest that time, it's literally like he exponentially multiplies the remainder of the day. And he exponentially multiplies our efforts, because we know what to focus on. We know what not to focus on. And when we put our hands to what he's called us to do, it's like he graces us to do it more efficiently, more effectively. It's just, it's amazing. So to your point, like, those 2 principles really equip and enable you to do all the other things. It's not vice versa. So
yes, yep, absolutely. I love what you said about multiplying your efforts, because you do. You seem like you have more hours in the day, and it's because you know what's a priority and what's some things. Okay, that doesn't really have to get done. So then you can maximize the things that you do have. It's almost like you have 10 things to do, but you're doing them halfway. So are you really doing them? No. But if I just focus on doing those 4 100%, because God said, hey, let's work on these. Everything else can wait till tomorrow. You're much more effective. And that's the whole goal. We want to live an effective life, an excellent, effective life. We just don't want to do everything raggedy, halfway. Nobody wants to live like that, We want to do things excellently and in order. And yes, all to just kind of mimic what you said. Absolutely.
I love it. Joy, were there any other days that resonated with you wanted to share about?
I really like the spiritual authority day and the wisdom, instruction, and self discipline. Um, those days I think resonated with me about like if you're trying to achieve a certain thing like exercising or making the right food choices like Chrystal was saying earlier and getting into the Word of God, carving out that time to do that, being intentional. And then with the spiritual authority, I think we talked about this. I think maybe it was last Saturday about like knowing who you are. You're the daughter of Christ, and just that spiritual authority that you have being the daughter of Christ. So those are a couple more days that really resonated with me. Do you have any other days, Maya?
I loved those. Well, the being a daughter first, I loved that day as well. That really resonated with me. The spiritual authority that you shared, Toya, and then also the creativity. You know, God gives us such creative insight and wisdom. And this was latter further down in the one of the latter chapters, but I really enjoyed that because I just feel like, especially as women, God gives us such incredible creative insight, even if it's just in how to more effectively manage our households. But at the same time, those same insights that he can give us to make our lives simpler, he may say, hey, I want you to turn this into a business. I want you to turn this into a product. I want you to turn this into a service. I mean, you just think about how many products are out there now that came from moms or working women or wives just trying to make their lives simpler. And so just the fact that we serve the creator of the universe who has like all the creativity there is. And when we lay at his feet intentionally and consistently, he gives us that same creativity to not only make our lives simpler, but to also generate revenue and to contribute to our household. So I loved that chapter. That resonated with me as well.
That is awesome.
All right, so we got to pick your brain a little more before we get ready to close out. Gosh, this time has been so good. But during our research, we came across a workshop. So I'll let you talk through this one, but it really struck a chord with us. So we want to learn a little bit more about one of your workshops.
Yes, we saw your the workshop titled "The Millionaire Woman." It really intrigued us. So we just wanted to see if you can give us a snapshot of what that session addressed and when you did it at the Proverbs 31 Woman Conference.
Yes, that was one of my favorite sessions too. So I love talking about finances all the time. So just as just a background. So during that obedience journey, after my husband and I were married, we came into the marriage with debt. Well, let me say, I came into the marriage with debt. My husband did not have any. I had the debt. And he said, I want you to pay it all off. Okay, great. And so on my blog, you can actually see I give very specific details on how much we made at the time, what our expenses were. Because again, I want people to see like this is real life. I'm not just telling you stuff that I never did. I'm giving you numbers so that you can know like this is really doable. And we had paid off about $25,000 worth of debt in about 18 months, making $3,500 a month. We were starting the church, starting a business at the same time. And that's what we did. And so basically, I took our experience as well as what that looks like as our income increased. And hey, how you can actually maximize your money for generational wealth. We hear that term all the time. I want to create generational wealth and legacy and all that. Okay, great. What does that look like? And I showed women what you really need to do: paying down debt, investing, saving, tithing, what that actually looks like in application, so that you can actually start to build wealth. And a lot of that comes from bad habits: buying a car every 2 to 3 years, spending excessively on food, taking vacations you don't have any business taking, really living off credit cards when you really, you're really just living above your means. So I really explained what that looks like. And for those of you guys, it's on YouTube. If you go to my YouTube channel, type in Chrystal Bernard, you can see it, so that you can actually start not just living, but succeeding financially And a lot of times it's, well, I act this way because my parents didn't teach me. Well, you know what? There are so many resources now that you can just tap into YouTube and you can get a whole lot of information. And so that session was really aimed at, you can be a millionaire woman, but you've got to make some decisions now, versus so that in the next 10, 15 years, you can actually see the fruit of those decisions, versus being maybe at the same place or even in a worse scenario than you are now financially.
Again, stepping on toes, Chrystal, but it's good stuff. It is
It's
good
no
stuff.
condemnation. No condemnation. I think people do the best with the information that they have. But once you're exposed to information, now you have to make a decision. Am I going to go with the information that I know is for my good, or am I going to keep living life how I want to live it?
Very good. Very good. And again, being intentional. We talked about being intentional with our time. We got to be just as intentional about our money. Where does it go? Does every dollar have an assignment? So, oh, y'all, I'm preaching to myself. I'm preaching to myself as well. So, great stuff. All right. All right. Any other words of wisdom that you want to share for actually let us know what are you working on now? I know, of course, in addition to becoming a doctor, getting your PhD, but are there any other projects or things that you're working on?
Our big focus right now is our school. So we have a mastery-based learning program, and it's here in the Arlington area. And we're really focused on building out not only the school, but a summer program. And so we have this awesome STEM plan right now. We're applying for grants. And one thing in the STEM space is that, normally you see rocket ships, and you're dissecting pigs and whatnot. And I said, it would be really cool to add maybe some girly science experiments in there. So we're going to be teaching the girls how to make makeup, what's the chemical composition of lip gloss, and circuit electric headbands. So that way, girls say, you know what, I think I may have an interest in this area. It's not all about the rocket ships and the volcanoes exploding, and those are really great. But sometimes as girls, we want to do some girlier things. So those are my biggest initiatives. As far as on the women ministry side, we have some events coming up with our church. Possible some online Proverbs 31 Woman conference coming in. So I will absolutely keep you guys posted.
I love it. I love
And
it.
Chrystal, yeah, it's right up my alley. I'm a science teacher, so I love science.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Yes, that's the big thing. There's a lot of opportunities with STEM, and my goal is for every child to get a scholarship to college, because I know the money is there. And the STEM field is such a great avenue to, start that journey on. So I'll keep you updated with all the experiments that we do.
That's some good stuff. All right. Shall we transition on into our woman of noble character?
Yes. So, Chrystal, do you have a woman that you would like to recognize who has inspired you? Maybe someone in the community that has inspired you that you would like to recognize?
Yes. You know what? When I was thinking of that, the woman, I said, you know what? Sometimes you don't know you've had an example your whole life until you become that role. You become a mom, you become a wife, you become, all these things. And so I really want to give a shout out to my mom. I think she has been such an excellent role model for me, especially as I now have kids. And she's a great Gigi, that my kids love her, and they probably like her more than they like me, because she gives them all the sweets and all the stuff that they really want. They love me too, so they love us the same. But I would say of noble character, and really just looking at her life now through the lens of a adult woman, and going back and saying, the challenges that she's overcome, and really just, even when she didn't know the Lord, but later did, seeing that transition has been it's been very inspiring.
I love it. Come on, Gigi. Can you share the full name of your mother so we can give her formal acknowledgement?
Yes, her name is Vanja, and last name is Gaither.
All right, Ms. Vanja Gaither, you are a woman of noble character. Yes, shout out, shout out. I love all the moms being acknowledged. We've actually had quite a few that have acknowledged their moms over the past couple of weeks. So I love that. Starting with home, because they truly are our first role models. So yes. Incredible. Thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Awesome.
So this season, we have been doing a Becoming Eva book club challenge. And so, since we have the privilege of having the one and only author of Becoming, Miss Chrystal Bernard, we wanted you to announce the Becoming devotional winner for this season.
Absolutely. And our winner is Latrinka Freshwater Lee.
Yay!
Congratulations, Latrinka. And it's so fitting that you're on with us today. I mean, you're on with us most weeks, but you have literally been going hard in the paint in the comment section today. Like, she's been adding people and commenting on I'm like, oh my gosh, Latrinka goes hard, so hard for Becoming Eva. And we're so grateful for you. So it's only fitting that we are able to give you your roses this morning and acknowledge you, because you have been such an incredible support to Becoming Eva, and also an incredible example of a modern day Proverbs 31 woman. I mean, just amazing in ministry, in family, and we're just so grateful to know you, to have you in our lives. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Latrinka.
Congratulations.
So yes, we'll be sliding a little something on in your inbox soon. So be on the lookout for that. But yes, we're so excited, very excited. So y'all, it's not too late. We've officially completed the devotional as a group. But feel free, it's 31 days. I think I was sharing last week, a great opportunity to do something over the weekends, I'm not over the weekends, over the holiday, to just chill out for a minute, reset, refresh, and practice that silence and that solitude that Chrystal was talking about earlier today. Like, really, hone in. It's one devotional, one chapter a day, 31 days total. So literally you could do that between the Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday and get your start right to the new year. So not too late. Join in.
Yes. And if anyone wants to stay connected to Chrystal, I know she mentioned like conferences and different things like that. Check her out on her website at crystalbernard.com, and be on the lookout for whatever projects she has coming up. If you're in the Texas area, look up her church. In Arlington, what's the name of your church?
It's Believers Connection Church.
Love it.
Believers Connections Church. So yes, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Don't forget to grab your merch at the Becoming Eva Today website. Grab your mugs, your shirts, your hats, all kinds of nice things that we have on the website that you can purchase to support Becoming Eva. Join us next Saturday, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Becoming Eva Today. We'll see you guys soon.
See you soon. Bye, ladies.
Bye.